friends, welcome to episode 156 of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. My name is Kalisha and you can find me anywhere online as Nadira Tani. I am coming to you today from my home in Central Florida, where the original plan was to film outside, but I act like I haven't been living in Florida for years and know that in the summer it rains in the afternoon. So it rained, and thus I am inside recording. If you are new, welcome. I hope that you find something here that you can connect with. And if you're returning, welcome back. It's good to see you again. And I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Am I going to address my inconsistent uploading? Consider it addressed. I would love to be consistent like I used to be, recording and uploading every Friday, but it's that I don't know why it's just not working for me in this particular span of life right now. So I will upload as and when I can and as much as I can. So let's start out with some bright spots. There were a bunch of bright spots on last episode, and the majority of said bright spots on last episode were in reference to the candlelit podcast that I ended up having. So last episode I was dealing with a lot of noise. My neighbors were power washing and running all of the loud things that day. And it turns out they were doing that because they had sold their house. They never had like for sale signs or anything, so I didn't even know they were moving. But I think they left or they moved out like 2 days after I filmed that podcast. But yeah, so we'll get new neighbors. But because of how long it took me to film that episode, the sun ended up setting, and because I already had all of my stuff outside, I didn't want to drag everything inside and set up everything again. So I ended up just finishing the podcast in the dark using a citronella candle as my only source of lighting. And to be honest, I was really like not anxious. It wasn't like serious anxiety behind it, but I was concerned about how that would be received. Like, were people gonna complain? Was I gonna get negative feedback, etc.? And I didn't. Like, I didn't get any complaints. I didn't get any negative feedback. Evidently, candlelit / Halloweeny / Are You Afraid of the Dark, Kalisha is a vibe. So, I don't know. Should I do that again on purpose? I feel like if I did it on purpose, it would just be weird. Like, that's definitely one of those, like, spur of the moment, well, this is what's happening kind of thing. So I'm glad that it made you guys laugh. I'm glad that me filming, holding a citronella candle so that you guys could even see me, was a bright spot for quite a few of you. There were some other bright spots on that episode, so I'm going to read a couple of them, but I definitely encourage you all to go back to last episode and read through the comments, comment on one another's bright spots, encourage one another, like, do that. Like, that's what I want bright spots to be. And I always say this, that I want bright spots to make the comment sections of my videos a place where you can go and see good things that are happening. Because when we look out in the news and at the world, it's trash. It's so easy to see, like, the trash and the negativity, and it's much, much harder to see the good things and the beauty and the reasons that we all have to keep going for another moment, right? I want bright spots and the comment section where you all put the bright spots to be a space where you can find those little things, those little reasons for continuing on, you know? Like, this this set of bright spots included things like someone saying that they had been dealing with a lot of depression, but their mother was able to help them through it. Some of us are excited because like daughters or nieces or granddaughters are learning to crochet, and so you're getting to spend more time with loved ones doing something that you really enjoy. We have a beekeeper in the comments who got a new set of bees, hive of bees. You know, like there's so many fun and exciting things that are happening to people within the Quirky Monday community. And seeing, for me, reading down those comments and seeing the things that people are doing, seeing the things that are bringing smiles and light to their lives is so encouraging for me. Because it makes me smile knowing that somebody else is having a good time doing whatever it is they're doing. We have bright spots from members of our community saying that they were able to spend time with a friend that they haven't seen in years. Bright spots of finishing a last exam and getting ready to leave the dorm for the first time, or leave the dorm for the last time. Having the whole house to yourself. Like, there's from like really big significant, well, they're really big significant things to really small, you know, seemingly everyday kind of things. But anything can bring a bright spot. Anything can bring a moment of happiness, a moment of joy. Anything can cause that warm, contented feeling to spark up within you. And I want the idea of bright spots to be a thing just in like the general consciousness, so that when you feel those moments, you think, oh, that's a bright spot, you know, and it makes you conscious of it. You know what I mean? So that's bright spots for us this week. So as always, leave a comment down below of something good that has happened to you, something that is your bright spot, something that is giving you that warm, contented, smiley feeling on the inside. My bright spot today was going to the library. I went to the library to pick up a couple books. They're out of arm's reach right now, so I'm not going to grab them. But scrolling on Instagram as you do, I came across this girl that does book reviews and recommendations. And this particular recommendation she was doing was books by Black authors that are focused on African folklore and mythology. I love folklore and mythology in general, but when it's like Africa based, I'm here for it. So I went to the library to pick up that book. It's called A Song of Wraiths and Ruins by, I'll put it on the screen because I can't remember right now. But I picked up that book and then I sat down to knit for a little bit. And while I was knitting, I realized that the project, the yarn, the progress keeper that I was using were all by Black makers, designers, dyers. And it just made me feel so good to be able to be in a place where I can consciously support Black creators. And when I tell you I felt so good on the inside, like, just, it was such a satisfying moment. So that's my bright spot, being able to support other creators and makers and designers and dyers that are in the Black community. So share your bright spots down below. I love reading them, and I know that others of us read them because I see you all liking each other's comments and commenting back on each other's comments, and that just makes me extra happy. So the next bit Oh, I don't have any more admin bits. It was just bright spots this time. So we'll jump right into the crafting. And I have 2 finished objects this week. My first finished object, I feel like these have been on the needles for a really, really long time, and I'm glad that they are off. They are these rainbow socks. This yarn is called, or this is Felice yarn by, available on Knit Picks. And Tootie, quiet, quiet, Toot. This is Knit Picks Felice yarn in the colorway Cloudy with a Chance of Rainbows. And then the heels is just some white yarn. I don't know where I got that white yarn from, but it's white. I did these socks toe up, complete vanilla, just, there you go. And I'm really excited to wear them because I love rainbow socks. So I'm happy that I have another pair. So that's them. First finished object. Oh, let me tell you, because just in case you are new and would like to know how I knit my socks, I always knit my socks, well, not always. I predominantly knit my socks on 2.25 millimeter Chalgu red lace needles. The 40 inch ones, because I do magic loop. Regularly I knit top down, but for whatever reason I decided to cast on toe up. But I do 64 stitches on those needles. I do 20 rows of 2x2 ribbing, the leg however long I'm feeling. I do a short row wrap and turn heel down to 10 live stitches in between wraps, then the foot, and then I do a rounded toe, which is a rounded toe that I've like come up with that fits my foot very well. So this is Kalisha's rounded toe pattern, and that one I decrease down to 12 stitches before doing a Kitchener to finish. Since I did these toe up, I cast off with the Judy's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Judy's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Normally when I cast on top down, I do the German twisted cast on. Tootie, can you stop grumbling? Tootie. What's wrong? It's raining outside, so everything's wrong. So those are my socks and my sock recipe. The only time that I ever deviate from that recipe is if I'm using like a thicker fingering weight. So typically any fingering weight, that's the recipe that I use. But if I'm using like Patton Croy socks, because their sock yarn is a little bit thicker, I will go up to a 2.5 millimeter needle and go from 64 stitches down to 60. Yeah, and then everything still the same. Yeah, so that's the first finished object. The second finished object kind of has a story. So bless you, Toots. So we have, y'all are, if you're a returning viewer, you know that I am an avid thrifter. Like, I love thrift stores. They are my like decompression place. Like, if I'm stressed out, I love to go walk around in the thrift store, and I sometimes find really, really awesome things in the thrift store. So we have, you know, your Goodwills, we have a Salvation Army, but I can never make it over there before they close. We have St. Vincent de Paul, etc. What our Goodwill also has in the area is a clearance center. If you've never been to the Goodwill Clearance Center, it's basically the place where all of the Goodwill clothes go after they don't sell in the Goodwill stores. They go to the clearance center and they're like dumped in these huge bins, and the center sells the clothes per pound. Kiva is stomping around. Kiva, why are you stomping? Can you go sit in your bed? Go to your bed. She did not go to her bed. But anyway, so last week on Sunday, I went to the Goodwill Clearance Center that's near here. And, you know, had my little headphones on, listening to some music, walking around, looking to see what I can see. And I found this blanket. I even hesitate to call it a blanket. It was like maybe this big, so kind of like, think somebody started making a baby blanket and then gave up. I'm not even sure. I think I have a picture of it. That's what it looked like. It was falling apart. Just tattered. The stitching was coming out. Some of the none of the squares were falling apart though. It was just the stitching. And then when I looked at it closer, whoever made this blanket, I don't know who taught them how to crochet, but there were definitely a bunch of things where, like, if I was teaching someone to crochet, I would not tell them to do this. For instance, there were just, when they joined colors, they just tied like a regular overhand knot and cut the yarn, or this is made of crochet thread, but they cut the crochet thread right next to the knot. There was no, like, you know how normally, like, if you do something like that, you can put like fray check or clear nail polish or something on it to make it not come loose. There was none of that. It was just a knot holding on with hopes and dreams. They were sewn together with like a running stitch with sewing thread. Like this piece was not gonna last at all. So when I got it, I saw it and I immediately thought I can take that apart and refashion it and give it a life where it can actually be used. So I brought it home, washed it up, took it all apart, and when I took it apart, I found that there were two completely different size squares used in this project. So I had like a bigger square set and the smaller squares. The bigger squares, I had exactly enough to make one of those granny square bags that I've been doing. So this is the back, and this is the front. I'm so glad I had enough of the same square to make like a front that makes sense, that doesn't look like somebody's like thrown away granny squares. But you know, I put them in an order that made sense. So you've got this part as the front and then that part as the back. A lot of these squares don't have the same number of stitches on the outside rounds, because, you know, when you if you're a crocheter and you know how to make granny squares, you know that in the corners, let's see if you can see this. Hello? Okay, so this is a corner. You have your three double crochet in the same spot, or 3 double crochet cluster, and then you have like a chain 1, chain 2, or chain 3 depending on your flavor, and then you do another double crochet cluster, into the same space, and that's what makes your corner. This person did that randomly. So sometimes they would have an actual corner like this. Other times they would have just three double crochets in the corner space. Sometimes they would just have one double crochet. Sometimes who knows what was actually happening. So I had to do so much fudging to stitch these together, but I think I did a pretty good job of joining them. I joined them with a single crochet. So on the inside you have the single crochet ridge joining them all together. I haven't woven in any of these ends because I didn't feel like it. But eventually I will either weave in the ends or just tie them in good knots that don't slip. And then I'm going to iron this because the stitches or the joins, I want them to lay flat. Yeah. So I joined this, as I mentioned earlier, it was made with crochet thread, and I don't own crochet thread. So I joined it with Loops and Threads Wool-like, and I have a ball of what used to be either white or gray wool-like that I dyed purple with some synthetic dyes because I was testing that out to see how it would go. So yeah, it's joined with hand dyed purple wool-like, and then the edging on the top and the shoulder straps are also that purple wool-like held together with a strand of regular cotton. So that's that. And I'll show you the rest of the squares later on, but I have a stack of smaller squares. The smaller squares are just a little bit smaller than the white squares here. And I'm not sure what I'm going to make with those. I think I have enough to make another bag like this, but do I really need more of these? No. So, still brainstorming on what to do with those other squares. That is all I have for finished objects, so we'll show you my works in progress. Now, these last few weeks since I last uploaded have been just chock full of start all the new things energy. So I did. I've got a lot of new works in progress. So I'll show you the ones that had already been started, and then we'll get into some new ones. Okay. So first, well, I actually listed some things on my show notes that I'm not going to show you because they haven't changed since the last episode. That being my lichen top, which is the mint green crochet tank top that I'm working on. It's got the triangle like bra cuffs, and then it's being worked straight down from the under bust area. So I haven't worked on that. I think maybe I put one row in it, but not enough to justify showing you guys. The next things I wanted to show you just real quick, we've got this guy. I think I started this after the last yes, I did start this after the last podcast because this is one of the balls of thrifted yarn that I found at the Goodwill a while ago. I talked about a lot of yarn that I thrifted in the last episode, and this is one of those. I really like how it's working up. It's giving all of the underwater, like light filtering through the water, like vibes. Right? I love it. So I'm working from this small ball first, and then I have the rest of it is balled up here. So there's that. This is just going to be a vanilla sock. Probably like movie or TV knitting. Yeah. Then I have this sock. This is the Linksfield sock pattern by Sylvia Watts Cherry. And I was one of her test knitters for the pattern, and I did a green pair, which I wore to work the other day, and they were super comfortable and really enjoyed it. But this pair is just going to have the lace pattern on the leg, and then I'm just going to do a regular stockinette foot. But yeah, this yarn is the Leaves, Fallen Leaves colorway by Birch Fibers. I'm trying to be better about using my favorite yarns and not just hoarding them like a little dragon. I'm trying, but I'm really enjoying working with these. I don't think I have any orange socks, if I'm honest, so I need to get on the roll with this. This is still the first sock. And one thing that's bringing me like a lot of smiles with this project is the yarn bowl that I have my yarn in. And I put yarn bowl in quotes because this is actually a planter that I found at Joann. It's little hands. Isn't that cute? Part of me wants to paint it, but I also don't want to. I think I'm just going to leave them unfinished like that. And it's the perfect size for a 100-gram cake of fingering weight yarn. So this is definitely something that I have been doing quite a lot when I am like sitting at my desk and working on different projects. I will just grab whatever is nearby to use it as a yarn bowl. And being the plant mama I am, a lot of times those are empty planters or pots or things like that. So yeah, so that is living in there. And then it also lives in a project bag that I made. And I have the pattern, or not the pattern, I have the lace chart printed out in the bag so that I can work on it when the mood strikes. Okay. I've got two, wait a minute. I'm missing one. Okay, I'll go get that in a second. So I have two garment projects that I'm working on right now. The first one I'll show you here, and then the second one I left in the other room, so I gotta go grab it. But this is the Granny Stripe cardigan by Hannah of oh, my brain just went blank, of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. So she did a loose, long granny stripe cardigan, like blanket type garment, and I have been wanting to make one, but I could never figure out what colors I wanted to do, because for the size that I wanted, she says it takes about 6 skeins of yarn. I am not a sweaters quantity yarn purchaser. And this is the fingering weight one. She does have a DK weight version in the works, but this is the fingering weight. So I'm not a fingering weight sweaters quantity purchaser. So going through my stash of like single skeins, and finding skeins that work together was very difficult until I thought about using singles. So a long time ago, I had mentioned that I had a few skeins of singles yarn that I didn't know what to do with, and I was trying to come up with something to do with them, and I was coming up empty. So between then and like starting this project, I had kind of the epiphany that single ply fingering weight yarn is typically a Z-twist. Now, That's like spinner speak. So when you spin yarn, you spin the loose fiber into a single, and then the single gets plied. So the single can either have 2 singles plied together, which you'll get a 2-ply, or 3 singles plied together for a 3-ply, 4-ply, etc. The single is spun in one direction, and the ply is done in the opposite direction. Typically, your knitting yarns or your fingering weight, typical yarns are S-twist, which means the spin, or the direction of the spin of the ply, is clockwise. Yeah. The Z twist, which will be your singles, the direction of the ply is counterclockwise. Why is that important? Or why did I think about that when I was considering crocheting this garment? Well, the way that you manipulate the yarn when you're knitting, the twist is reinforced. So your 2-strand twist, that clockwise twist, is reinforced when you're doing your yarn overs when you're knitting. But if you use that same yarn and crochet with it, the yarn or the twist is undone as you crochet with it. So sometimes what that looks like is your plies will start loosening up, maybe a little bit fuzzier. You may not have as much stitch definition when you crochet with like typical S-twist yarns. Most of the time it's not like so apparent, so it's not like life or death, like, oh my gosh, I can't crochet with this at all. But if you know what to look for and you're paying attention to it, you might notice it. I said all that to say singles are Z-twist. That means singles are perfect for crocheting with. Excuse me. Because as I'm crocheting with the single ply yarn, every time I yarn over, I'm tightening that twist in that yarn. Yeah. So I thought, okay, so let me go ahead and do this garment with all of the single ply that I have. I'm not going to be able to use all of it because I couldn't get all of it to fit into the fade. And even the fade that I have is not very fadey. It's choppy, but it is what it is. So I don't remember most of these yarns, like the names of them, but I will show you the order that they're going to go in. Let's see if I can hold these. Why am I doing it that way? I should just do it this way. Use your brains. Use your smarticle particles. Yeah. So this is the fade. This yarn, and this yarn were given to me by a podcast viewer. Hi, Roz. I'm using the yarn you sent me. So 1, 2, and 3 were given to me by Roz. This one was given to me a long time ago, like towards the beginning of my podcasting, and I don't remember who gave it to me, but I'm using it. This I bought from one of my local yarn stores, and this one was sent to me by Hannah. So, ta-da! I have finished the yellow for one side, and I'm currently working with the light blue and the light green. So the way that this garment is constructed, you do like one side, like I would complete the left side and then complete the right side and then seam them together. So this is going to be like the farthest edge, and then we've got the blue, the darker blue, and the darker green are going to be next. So the darker, I think the way that it works out, it's going to be the darker blue that's close to my face up here, and the darker green will just be in the back, I think. Part of me is like, oh, I don't like how the colors are actually working together. It's going to be really, really stripy. Is that what you want? And then the rest of me is like, bro, we're using the yarn that's in our stash, and these are the colors we have. Plus, these are your wedding colors. So whenever you have the opportunity to do something in yellow, blue, and green, jump on that, girl. So yeah. This has been getting a lot of work while I'm relaxing or chilling or whatever, because I can do the granny stitch without looking. So that's been pleasant. This is also living in this yarn bag. This looks like underwear. Let's fix that. This project bag, I bought it from a D-stash that Hannah was having. So this is, I'm using some yarn from Hannah. I'm using a design that I bought from Hannah, and it's all living in a project bag that I bought from Hannah. So you gotta love like supporting your friends in this fibery world. Oh no, don't get tangled. The only thing that I'm feeling kind of meh about is the fact that I'm only using one skein of this particular yarn, and Hannah sent me 3. So the other 2, while they're the same colorway, they're not the same dye lot. So this one is more yellow than the other 2. So I'll still have 2 skeins to do something with. So hopefully I can find something to do with those. So yeah. I'm back with my other work in progress. A while ago, I bought the pattern May by Andrea Mowry. And it is, you know, of course, a knit pattern because Andrea Mowry does knitting patterns. But I wanted to make that pattern. And then Lamar bought me some yarn. He bought me this yarn, this denim gray, I think it's 100% cotton yarn. Yeah, 100% cotton yarn. And I thought, oh, I can make May out of this yarn. And it was just the right amount to knit that garment. Only when I decided I wanted to start it, I didn't feel like knitting. I just felt like crocheting. So instead of looking for a different pattern and crocheting something different, I decided to recreate May in crochet. And the way that I did that was I looked at the pattern, at the construction and everything, and looked at the measurements. So the measurements in the schematic, and then I crocheted a swatch. I'm just using regular double crochet. I crocheted a swatch. I can't talk. I crocheted a swatch to get my gauge, and then converted my gauge to inches to, you know, stitches and everything like that, and started crocheting. So I had to look at how the knit version was constructed. For instance, if you look at the pictures, you can see that there is some short row shaping like in the shoulder area, like the top right here. And there's also a scooped hemline, so there's some short row shaping in the bottom as well. So in order to recreate that, I had to do some reading about short row shaping in crochet, which, fun fact, there's not a whole lot of information that I could at least find about it. But I managed to kind of like stumble my way through creating this short row shaping in the top of this garment. And I am, for the majority of the top, the front and backs are worked the same. So right now I'm working one ball on the top. When I finish that ball of yarn, then I do one ball on the back, just so that I can make sure that, you know, I'm managing the yarn that I have, because I can't get more of this yarn. So this is what I have so far. It looks gigantic, but I think it's going to fit me nicely. I think I went up a size from what I should have been, I think. Maybe, I'm not even sure at this point. I don't know. But I seamed it together. I seamed the shoulders together last night because I wanted to try it on and see like how it was hanging and stuff. So there's going to be a ribbed neckband, or like a ribbed collar, and then little tiny ribbed sleeves. Well, not even real sleeves, more like the cuff is going straight onto the armhole. But yeah, it does have, in the May pattern, there is a, I think it's a slip stitch, or some sort of detail going down the center that kind of looks like a seam, but it's not. So I am replicating that using front post and back post double crochets, so that you get that raised detail going down the front. The knit version is joined. I don't know which join it is that's used for the shoulder seam, but it's one that's visible. So I decided to join it using the crab stitch, or the reverse single crochet, so it gives like a corded look to the top. And then here you can see my short rows. So on this end, you see you've got one row here and then the second row right here, but I have all of these other rows that are basically raising that that point. I'm not even going to try to explain what I did, because it was late at night when I did it, and it was definitely one of those things where when you finished it, you were like, or I was like, how did I do that? But lucky for me, I had to do it 3 more times. So it's a mixture of, well, technically it's upside down because I'm working from this way, but it's a mixture of double crochets to a certain point, and then slip stitches, and then yeah, that's all I got. I had this much space. I double crocheted over like this much, and then slip stitched in the next one to kind of make that smooth. And then on my next row, since I wanted to kind of skip this many stitches, I slip stitched across to here and then started double crocheting the rest. Went up to the next row, double crocheted over to here. So now we have this step, and then this step, and then slip stitched in the next stitch to smooth out that transition, and then slip stitch across. Like, I was going in increments of 5 stitches because it made sense to me, and then double crochet to the end. So now I have basically a stair step that goes like this, and then on that end I was able to double crochet across all of the stitches. I told y'all I wasn't going to try to explain it, and then I immediately go and try to explain it, and it probably doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. But short row shaping in crochet is a thing. There is a pattern that I would recommend if you want to do more short row shaping in crochet, but I believe she does her short row shaping using single crochet. It's been a while since I made the pattern, but Hannah the Cozy Cottage Crochet, has a pattern called the Bellatrix Shawl, and it is all short rows basically. So if you're interested in how short rows work in crochet, definitely check out that pattern. Future Kalisha linked the pattern. But yeah, so that's what we have so far. I have tried it on. My only concerns are this bulky space, or this bulky fabric right here. What it's gonna look like when I actually wear the garment. See how that's like, I don't really like that, but I'm not sure how it's gonna fit because I don't have the collar on. So one thing I know that I'm going to be doing based on trying this on last night, Andrea Mowry has a certain measurement for your armhole, and I like pinned, I put in a stitch marker at that measurement, and when I put it on, it was too tight on my arms for my liking, so I'm definitely going to increase that that space. And yeah, I have to figure out how I'm going to do the short rows for the bottom hem, but I'll just it's just a little bit of brainstorming, right? Like, it's totally possible. Anything you put your mind to is possible. Like, you can make it work. So this is my Crochet May so far. I took some measurements based on my gauge, and as I'm going, I have 2 more, well, technically 1.5 balls of yarn left on the front, and maybe 2 and change balls of yarn left on the back, because of that shaping. It may even be, no, it'll probably be closer to 2.5 on the 2 to 2.5 balls of yarn on the back. Then I'm assuming that my bottom hem, my collar, and my sleeve ribbings will take 1 to 2 balls of yarn. So I have all of the rest of the yarn. All of this yarn is calculated into this project. So yeah, this has been really, really fun, you know, like translating the pattern from knitting to crochet. And I definitely think that's something that I want to do more of, because a lot of times I like the shapes of the garments that people are designing using knitting, but sometimes I just don't want to knit. Like, sometimes I just want to crochet. But the biggest problem that I feel that I would run into with translating from knitting to crochet is the fact that crochet eats yarn so ravenously. I think I read somewhere that like crochet uses 3 times the amount of yarn that knitting uses. So I just have to be conscious of that when I am like picking things that I want to translate across fiber languages, if you will. So I am really excited about that piece, about finishing that piece, and I feel like it's going to be really, really comfortable considering it's 100% cotton. It's going to be really big. I think I forget how many inches of positive ease May has built into it, but mine will have more positive ease than that. I think I may have gone overboard with the positive ease, if I'm honest. So excited about that project. And I think that's all of my works in progress. Oh, let me turn my leg and take a sip of water. Ooh, this is a lot of talking, y'all. I'm using up all my words for the day. Okay, maker plans. I was tagged, not tagged, but on Instagram, one of my Instagram friends sent me a link to this project. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm making that all day. It is the Monstera leaf hanging planter, or Monstera leaf plant hanger. And it looks like this. Get it in there. There we go. So it's a, you know, little Monstera leaf. You can put a little pot in it. I have these white plastic pots that I think will look really nice behind the green Monstera leaf. And recently I have really been thinking about things that I can make and take with me to the plant swaps, like planty crochet things. But I definitely want to make at least one of them so I can see if I even like the pattern. It is you can either pay for the pattern on, I think it's on Ravelry, or you can watch the video that's on YouTube for free. So I'm gonna watch the video because one of the things that I do as a like when it comes to buying patterns from designers who I have never used their work before or never used a pattern by them before, I always look and see if they have anything free so that I can see if they like communicate their instructions in a way that I understand, because sometimes it doesn't sync up, and then I don't want to be like working through a project and just be frustrated because I can't understand what the designer is trying to say to me. So I always look for free patterns so that I can see their writing style, how they organize their thoughts, etc. Yeah. That's the only thing that I have in maker plans as of right now. So we will jump into Stashquisitions. And Stashquisitions today is brought to you by Tour de Fleece. Tour de Fleece is a spinning like marathon that's done every year along with the Tour de France, and it's basically you're spinning the whole time that the bike race is going, the bike marathon is going. I had grand plans to start spinning at the beginning of Tour de Fleece, which I think was on July 1st, but here we are. Today is like what, the 17th, and I've spun nan thing, not nan thing, but I have bought fiber. So I will show you the fiber that I purchased. So these first two fiber bats are from Spinjitsu, and that's Ishba. I will link the Etsy or websites, you know, down below. So if you like what you see, you can try to get something similar. I bought two bats from Ishba. This one is called Asters 2. And I forget the blend off top, but look at these colors. The colors do the colors. So there's the front and there's the back. So we've got lots of purpley colors. There's some green, some cream/yellowish colors, like pale yellow, and then lots of orange. So the purple are like kind of tweedy neppy bits, so they give a lot of texture. So that's Aster. I really like it. And then this one is Into the Forest. Y'all know I had to do something green. So this is very Earth Mother. I'm not gonna unroll it all the way because that was almost a disaster with Aster just then. So we're just gonna look at it this way. Got a little sparkle in there. Yeah. So what I think I'm going to do with these, I'm going to do one of them as a single and like see how fine of a single I can get and like do something crochet with it. And then the other I'm going to do a 2-ply. So let me tie this back up. I definitely need to get my spinning wheel out because it has been quite some time since I spun anything. Like, I don't even remember the last time I had a Kalisha and the Bee segment. Kalisha and the Bee. Kalisha and the Babe. See, it's been so long, I don't even remember the name of my own segment. But I don't remember how long it's been since I've done a Kalisha and the Babe segment. I have a Babe spinning wheel. And Babe is the company that makes spinning wheels out of PVC pipe. So if you are interested in getting into spinning, but maybe don't want to pay upwards of $500 for a spinning wheel, you can look into Babe. They're lower, much lower priced, but you get you can get the basics down, and that's really cool. This this bat here is from Mirla Fibers, and this one I do have the mix. It is 2.25 ounces of superfine merino, bamboo, sparkle, well, superfine merino and regular merino, bamboo, and sparkle. And I don't think this colorway had a name, but when I looked at it, all I saw was space. Okay? Like, oh my gosh, it looks so nice on camera. Ooh. Hello, deep space. Oh, this is gonna be so nice to spin, and it's so soft. Like, this one has a very smooth softness, whereas these have a textured softness. There's like much more texture in the Spinjitsu bats as compared to the Mirla Fibers bats, or this particular Mirla Fibers bat. Oh my goodness. Look at these colors. Like, I'm gonna have to take a picture of this just to like memorialize it in this state, and like use it as a phone background for real. This is just space. This is outer space to me. I love it. So yes, this one I definitely want to do a 2-ply. I don't know how fine of a 2-ply I want to aim for, but like as small, like as fine as I can get it. Bearing in mind that I haven't spun in over a year, so I'm really hoping that that muscle memory is like a thing. Otherwise, we could be on the struggle bus, friends. But that is everything that I have for Stash Acquisitions, and that's also kind of an update on Kalisha and the Babe. So be on the lookout for spinning content to return to the podcast. I'm really excited about that because I enjoy spinning, right? I really enjoy spinning, and I want to do it more. Sidebar, another thing that I've considered doing for spinning and using my singles is plying my singles together. So that might also happen because I have a couple, there's 2 of the green ones. So there's definitely at least 4 skeins of singles yarn that I have that I don't have anything, like any plan or anything to do with. So I might spin those together. Actually, just thinking, I remembered I did buy a pattern that calls for singles, but I don't think I have enough. And the reason I forgot about this pattern is because I just bought it today. It was sitting in my Etsy shopping cart for like a week. I do that. Does anybody else do that? Just put stuff in your Etsy cart and just be like, yeah, you just sit there and be happy. Cute little thing that I might buy. Go to Etsy, Kalisha. It is a pattern by Tamy Gore, and it's her most recent pattern, and it's called Avondale. It's a short sleeve v-neck t-shirt with this beautiful lace pattern that goes down the side. Let's see what it calls, how much yarn it calls for. Yeah, I'm not gonna have enough. It's fine. We'll figure it out. For my size, we'll probably do size 2. 750 yards. I might be able to squeeze it out of the 2 skeins that I have left from the yarn Hannah gave me. But this is the Avondale. I don't know why I keep doing this, like I can't put a picture on the screen. Future Kalisha, I hope you have been overlaying these stupid camera, like phone up to the camera things with actual pictures. But Avondale. So that's a stash position and a maker plan. I'm not going to start Avondale anytime soon, but I'm really excited at the idea of having a v-neck top, because right now all of my knit or crochet tops are crew neck, and I feel like v-neck would be more up my alley as far as comfort, because a lot of the tops that I have, like that I've made, are like close on my neck, and it just really feels like it's choking me out. So I'm playing around with wider necklines, and then when I saw this v-neck, I was like, yes ma'am. And even like having the lace down the side is really nice, but just the idea of omitting the lace and then just having a basic v-neck knit top, staple. Come on now. But anyway, that's stash positions, Kalisha and the Babe plans, and we will end with plant mama life and whatnot. So plant mama life, I have a new plant, and I got this plant from the swap. Actually traded with another planty person. She had this Hoya carrii, which is a little plant that has heart-shaped leaves, and I'm just, ooh, it's adorable. But I bought myself a carrii for my birthday back in February, and it has been, it's hit a growth spurt. Homie is just doing her little thing, and I'm so excited about it. But it's like one vine, and I don't want to cut it and propagate it yet because I don't want to do that. So I was looking for someone who was wanting to trade or get rid of a carrii, and I saw this lady had one. And so I traded her some cuttings of one of my philodendron. And when she gave me the carrii, she was like, yeah, it has a little bit of variegation on it, but it just isn't bringing me joy anymore. So I was like, okay, cool. So brought it home, put it in the window next to my other carrii. It, I was just kind of like, do what you do, boo. And it put out 2 new leaves, and they're still like hardening off and getting larger. But the variegation that came in on these 2 leaves, I was flabbergasted. Absolutely flabbergasted. So, like, I want to, okay, I can show you the existing leaf. Okay, you can't really see. So this was the leaf that the girl was like, it's got some sport variegation on it. You can't even really tell, but you can see how this is a little bit darker than this here. So I was like, okay. And then girly put out these leaves. Look at that. And at first I was like, I thought this was just a green carry eye. Is it sick? Is this bad? And then, you know, like the leaves are just chilling. They're just doing, you know, getting bigger. It's happy. Surprise variegation. So I have this one potted in a cup that I drilled a hole in because I just really love this color. Kalisha has an entire collection of plant pots in the garage. She buys a cup from Walmart and drills a hole in it. Why am I this way? I don't know. But this is my a variegated carry eye. And I love it. I love how painterly the leaves look. Like, it's so watercolory. So I have been, you know, watching it to see if it's going to be putting out any new leaves soon again. But I don't know. I guess she put out these 2 leaves and was like, all right, I'm just going to take a break. But that's fine. I'm happy. So I am very happy with this new plant. The eventual plan is going to be to pot them up together, I think, and have them on a trellis together so that we'll have like my little green hearts and little variegated hearts, and it'll just be the best thing ever. So excited. So that is my plant mama life news. So regular life and whatnot. Work is work. We got a new executive assistant, so now there's 3 of us, which is going to really, really help with the workload. But for the time being, we are training her. And when she and I are working in the office together, you know, I'll be going over things, you know, explaining to her how to do certain things, blah, blah, blah. And she's like asking me all these questions, and she asks really, really good questions, very well thought out questions that make me have to like actually think through things. So it has been really like reassuring for me that I can answer all of her questions, and it feels really good. It makes me feel like, yes, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing a good job, and I can teach somebody else to do the job that I'm doing, and I can be a knowledge base and be a consistent knowledge base. So that really made me feel really good. What doesn't feel quite so good is the training and talking pretty much all day long. The first day that I trained her, I was talking basically nonstop from 8 o'clock in the morning. And it was around like 2:30. I hit that wall of like, I want to say overwhelm, but I think it was just like overstimulation. Like, I was doing too much talking and having to interact too much and just having to put out so much energy and so much energy consistently, which normally I don't do. Normally I only talk when I absolutely have to. You know, I'm not talking all day. But that day I was just going and going and going and going, and like 2:30 hit, and I ran face first into that wall. And when I tell y'all, I was sitting at my desk when I realized it, it was like the light switch went off, and I almost started crying because I was just too much. Like, I was immediately peopled out. So luckily I haven't hit that again because I have been like making sure to take breaks in the midst of my training when I'm working with her, so that I don't like burn out as fast as I did that first day, because that was wild. But I think I'm really going to enjoy working with her. I'm so glad that we were able to get that third executive assistant, because I think it's really going to help us, like I said, to balance out the workload as well as keep the office working as smoothly as possible. Very excited. The last thing on Life and Whatnot is tomorrow is Lamar's birthday. If you're new here, Lamar's my husband, and tomorrow's his birthday. And I love birthdays. They make me very happy. I love celebrating people. But we had his birthday, like family birthday celebration yesterday, or last night. And the family came over. We did games, and he had a donut stack as his cake, because that man is all about donuts. Like, all about donuts. His groom's cake for our wedding was a stack of Krispy Kreme glazed donuts. And he was super excited about it. So yeah, yesterday we celebrated Lamar's birthday, and we had a weird soda tasting contest to see if you could identify these weird soda flavors. I'll put a picture in of the flavors that we were graced with. So a couple years ago, Lamar and I went to Daytona, one of them Tonas, and at the beach there was this like candy shop, soda shop place. I don't remember what it's called, but it was like the whole wall of the store was just shelves and shelves of weird flavored sodas. So they had like your regular soda, you know, like your cherries and your ginger ale and etc. But they also had things like dirt and mustard and buffalo wings. Like, so we got, I think, like 8 of those weird flavor sodas, and we had, you know, we gave everyone like little glasses and poured a little bit of the soda, and we were trying to guess what the flavor was of the soda. And some of them were like really, really bad, like just really bad, like mustard, bad. Absolutely not. One of them was butter, and it was weird. It tasted like, if you've ever made a cake from scratch, and you know, basically any cake from scratch starts off with like, take a pound of butter and a pound of sugar and cream it. But if you've ever creamed butter and sugar together, that smell is what this soda tasted like. So that was really, it was a really interesting experience. My stomach was definitely not happy with me after we finished the game of trying to guess the sodas. I don't recommend doing that. I don't. It was like Bean Boozled, but soda. But it was fun. Thank you all so much for being here today. I hope that you have a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, whenever it is that you watch this. Leave a comment down below of something good that has happened to you, so that we can have more bright spots to read and celebrate with each other. And yeah, have a great one. And thank you so much for being a part of my universe. Bye, friends.